pretender. I'm sorry, Inui Seishu.
Kokonui, a phrase that seems like it has existed since before the sands of time. It's provocative. It's exciting. It's fake. Yes, listeners. Everyone's favorite little moneymaker X traumatized twin interactions were the brainchild of something even worse than a classic Wakui planted gay bait.
And we, the Gay Pretender channel, are here to single-handedly put a stop to the abomination that we kindly call Kokonui. We have information that we intend will cause you little freaks, known as Kokonui shippers, to go into extinction.
We know what you're thinking, but the Gay Pretender, Coco had an intense romantic attraction to Inupi.
No, you fucking donkey.
This was all an illusion put into your tiny little pea brains that are so quickly satisfied with even an ounce of male-on-male flirting and angst that you've been blinded this whole time.
Kokonui is a heinous fan-made ship from the recently popular shonen manga Tokyo Revengers. It involves the characters Kokonui Hajime and Inui Seishu, better known as Coco and Inupi. They are introduced as principal members of the Black Dragons gang, which eventually meets its downfall at the hands of the Tokyo Manji gang. And Takemichi was there, I guess.
Inupi repeatedly asks Coco this question. What do you want to do now, Coco? The answer is always some version of, I'm sticking with you. Yet we can tell there's a layer of obligation laced into this loyalty. Inupi mentions a promise that Coco has made, but the latter says that he has forgotten about it. There is also a sense of helplessness. Coco even says, what else? Fast forward, their camaraderie is threatened by the rise of another gang, Tenjiku. Coco, Inupi, and Takemichi, because he's always there, are captured, and Coco is threatened to join Tenjiku, else Inupi and Takemichi, I guess, will come to harm.
A bitter confrontation on the battlefield gives us insight into Coco and Inupi's tragic past. We're greeted with a flashback. Coco and Inupi in a library. And then, a kiss.
Now who the fuck is Akane? The chapter ends there, and the poor readers of Tokyo Revengers were left to wait another week before the truth was revealed. It was not as gay as anybody had wanted or expected. Akane is not in fact an alias previously used by Inupi or whatever. It's actually the name of his dead older sister, whom Coco was in love with.
Wasn't he like 10?
Anyway.
We don't know how to explain the mental illness that goes on with them anymore, so...
All I know is when you hold me, I still feel lonely, lonely when you hold me. All I know is I can't focus on these arms around me. Think of how you found me in those arms so large and dark and holding on. All I know is when you hold me, are you thinking Rosalie, or is she in me and all the rest? But baby, you're the best. You figure out the rest. And maybe it's a test. I think we better quit while we're ahead.
How did we discover Kokonui? Our tale begins with the invention of volleyball, then called Mintonette, in 1895 by William G. Morgan. Over a century later, Furudate Haruichi created Haikyuu. This humble sports manga went on to gain international popularity and even recognition from professional volleyball players. But what does this have to do with Kokonui?
Host E and I, Host A, met through our involvement in the Haikyuu fan base. Our friendship was especially rekindled when we discovered Venus Planet of Love by Fatal on AO3 and shed many tears over it. A powerful excerpt from the series. He looks down at Kunimi and sees a crater lake. And he could drown, maybe, in the cold of him. Kunimi looks at Tobio back and sees only a boy.
Host A would then manipulate me into reading Tokyo Revengers. Much later, there was just one thing I could say. Man, but when Kako looks at Nuki back, he doesn't even see a boy.
However, Haikyuu only covers our personal relationship with Kokonui. There are countless other factors that contributed to Kokonui. We will go over some of them now.
All of this can even be traced back to the beginning of the human race, when cavemen discovered fire. When humans learned to harness fire, it made a butterfly effect that rippled throughout time and formed cuisine, electricity, technology, and burning houses.
We could even put some of the blame on Gregor Mendel for researching genetic traits and giving us a concrete explanation as to why siblings look alike. For example, Inupi and Akane.
But it's really the colonizers at fault for most of this. If it weren't for them, we might not have had capitalism.
Business majors, office workers. This all reminds me of the Hatarakiman manga. Did you know that it was one of Ken Wakui's major influences?
Yeah, but I was also sort of thinking about the notion of media produced for mass consumption. Like how most creatives can only get their stuff published if editors think it will appeal to an audience. If Ken Wakui's editors didn't want him to write about delinquents, then we wouldn't have had Tokyo Revengers.
True. Well, colonizers also spread Catholicism. If I remember Bible lore correctly, Judas betrayed Jesus? All I know is that Jesus washed Judas's feet, a la Death Note.
Yes, Judas betrayed Jesus with a kiss. It's very iconic, referenced in a lot of other media.
Let's think about other influences. Journey to the West and Dragon Ball, which then inspired Ken Wakui as a mangaka.
Oh, definitely. A fun fact unrelated to gay bait. Journey to the West is referenced in Tokyo Revengers, and if I'm not mistaken, it's where Tenjiku got its name from.
Fly high, Izana.
Looking through our notes. What's this about King Louis XV of France?
I can explain. It has more to do with his mistress, Madame Pompadour.
Like the hairstyle.
Exactly the hairstyle. The pompadour was popular amongst delinquents and gangsters in Japan back then. The protagonist of Kazu Densetsu has one. It's one of the many mangas that inspired Ken Wakui to write Tokyo Revengers. Speaking of which, some side characters in Tokyo Revengers also have pompadours.
Ken Wakui's knowledge about delinquents is actually personal considering how he was one back in the day. Tokyo Revengers is also set in Shibuya, isn't it?
Shibuya is a popular setting. Like, you know, Ramada from Hypnosis Microphone is from Shibuya.
We must free you from listening to drops.
I've moved on.
So you say. And so did Geto in Jujutsu Kaisen, when he and his best friend Gojo went their separate ways in front of a KFC in the very same area.
Kokonui also broke up in Shibuya in Tokyo Revengers chapter 186. Is that a coincidence? The world will never know.
You sound insane.
You literally write the scripts for this deranged channel.
Anyway, for the last of our Kokonui connections, we have H.G. Wells with his novel The Time Machine, which popularized time travel as a trope in fiction. Thank you, H.G. Wells, for Back to the Future, Kagero Project, and Tokyo Revengers.
Like we said, there are lots of other factors that contributed to the propagation of Kokonui. Through this channel, we hope to find the heart of gay bait. And in the future, we will also discuss the impacts of Kokonui.
Because Kokonui certainly impacted our mental well-beings. Please play the music.
Seconds and not even at your worst. Sometimes I wish you put me first. Nowadays you're such a blur. We keep dancing around the innocent truth that we're just out of time. Ooh.
You must think we're deranged. Yes, we are. A dissertation exists as proof. Included in that dissertation is a Kokonui checklist. Is your favorite parent gay bait? See as follows. For the necessary points, we have 1. Originally best friends or partners. 2. There is a dead girl or a dead sibling. May also be a dead relative. 3. You're the best. By wet must apply.
For the bonus points of the Kokonui checklist, these ones are not necessary in order to be qualified as a Kokonui, but will greatly help in your defense. A library kiss scene, which can be replaced with any academic setting or window kiss. A dark hair and light hair combo. A complicated relationship with money or debts. One is willing to die for the other's sake. A breakup or a dramatic separation. Fire is involved. One saves the other, with another bonus of survivor's guilt. A scene where the Inupi's face has an overlay of the dead person or the Akane's face. Half the fans love them, half call them toxic. And this last one counts as 2 bonus points. The Koko calls the Inupi by the Akane's name.
Please comment if you know of anything that may fit the criteria.
Aside from that, we also have 2 heavily curated playlists dedicated to Kokonui, but that is for another video, because we want money. We also have a Twitter bot.
We hope that in explaining the origins of Kokonui, we have only mystified you further.
We hope that you keep coming back to support us, and most importantly, give us money. /Coco.
You can give us money by streaming this video like K-pop fans, or spreading the word about Kubate. Please link back to our budding channel.
That's all this time.
Thank you for joining us at the Cute Channel.
Guess it's farewell.
I know